December 16th, 1944. Dawn's first light pierces the fog-shrouded Ardennes forest, where snow crunches under the treads of advancing panzers. Lieutenant Otto Carius, commander of a Tiger I, squints through his periscope, the cold steel biting his fingers. The air hangs heavy with pine scent and diesel fumes, punctuated by the distant rumble of artillery. His crew, bundled in greatcoats, tenses as silhouettes emerge from the mist. American tanks, Shermans by their outline, leading an infantry push through the frozen hell of the Battle of the Bulge. You can almost feel the frost gripping your bones, hear the metallic clank of rounds loading into the 88mm KWK-36. Carius barks the order. "Feuer!" The Tiger roars, its shell streaking toward the lead Sherman. Impact. Smoke billows, but the tank doesn't erupt in flames. It shakes off the hit like a boxer brushing away a jab, its turrets swiveling defiantly. Another round. Ricochet sparks fly, the projectile glancing harmlessly into the trees. "Unmöglich," Carius mutters, his voice laced with disbelief. This isn't a standard Sherman. This is something worse. The M4A3E2 Jumbo, a beast armored like a fortress, turning German precision into feudal thunder. The Jumbo presses on, its 102mm frontal armor laughing at the Tiger's fury. Infantry scatters behind it, using the tank as a mobile shield. Carius's gunner reloads frantically, but doubt creeps in, the kind that turns disciplined Wehrmacht crews into hesitant shadows. How many hits can this monster take? Reports from the Eastern Front had whispered of Soviet heavies, but here, in the West, the Americans, those amateur soldiers with their mass-produced toys, have unleashed a Sherman variant that defies death. Back in Berlin months earlier, Abwehr intelligence folders had begun filling with sketches of this up-armored abomination. Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, head of military intelligence, had slammed one such report on his desk, coffee spilling across maps of Normandy. "The Americans are bluffing," he'd snarled to his aides. But agents in neutral Switzerland, poring over smuggled blueprints, knew better. The Jumbo wasn't just thicker-skinned, it was a psychological weapon, designed to spearhead assaults where standard Shermans would crumple. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, overseeing the Ardennes offensive, had dismissed early warnings in staff meetings at the Adlerhorst bunker. "Their tanks are coffins on tracks," he'd scoffed, echoing Hitler's racial certainties. Americans, a mongrel race, lacked the engineering soul of the Reich. Yet, as Carius's Tiger retreats under covering fire, the Jumbo advances unchallenged, its 75mm gun barking back. The German crew exchanges glances, fear, raw and unspoken. If this one tank can withstand the mighty 88, what horrors await in the American arsenal? But the roots of this terror stretch back further, to the drawing boards where Allied ingenuity clashed with Aryan arrogance. How did a simple upgrade turn the tide of armored warfare? June 1944. The dusty assembly yards of Fisher Tank Arsenal, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Welders' torches flare like angry stars in the cavernous halls, sparks cascading onto the concrete floor where riveters hammer in rhythm. The air reeks of molten steel and sweat, men and women in overalls swarming over a hulking M4 Sherman chassis. Extra plates, 1.5 inches thick, are bolted and welded to the glasses, transforming the familiar silhouette into something squat and menacing. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Colby, overseeing production for the Ordnance Department, watches with grim satisfaction as the first M4A3E2 rolls off the line, nicknamed Jumbo by the crews who will ride it into hell. You can almost hear the clang of hammers echoing through the factory, feel the heat radiating from fresh welds. This isn't just another Sherman, born from the bloody lessons of Normandy's Bocage country, where standard M4s crumpled under Panther and Tiger fire. The Jumbo carries frontal armor equivalent to 102mm on the hull, thicker than many German heavies at certain angles. Its turret, cast with added plates, shrugs off 75mm rounds like rain.
armed with a 75mm gun for now, later upgrades to 76mm. It's not meant to outgun the cats, it's meant to survive them, lead assaults, and draw fire while lighter Shermans flank. Back in the hedgerows of France, Captain James Leach of the 743rd Tank Battalion first encounters his new mount near Saint-Lô. The ground shakes as the Jumbo lumbers forward, dwarfing standard Shermans beside it. Leach climbs the turret, peering through the periscope at German positions dug into the earth. "This thing's a monster," he tells his gunner, Sergeant Poole. Intelligence briefings had warned of Pak-40 ambushes and lurking Panthers, tanks that turned Shermans into Ronsons, light's first time every time. But the Jumbo changes the math. As Leach's platoon advances, hidden 88mm guns open up. Shells scream in, impacting with deafening crashes. The tank rocks, crew thrown against bulkheads, but no penetration. Sparks fly inside from spalling, yet the beast presses on. Poole traverses the turret, the 75mm barking back. German gunners accustomed to easy kills panic, reloading frantically, aiming for tracks or sides. Too late. The Jumbo closes, infantry hugging its flanks, overrunning the position. Word spreads fast through Allied lines. The assault tank, crews call it. Only 254 built, scarce, precious. Generals like Patton hoard them for breakthroughs, Eisenhower prioritizing them for the push into Germany. But across the lines, German intelligence catches wind. Captured documents and radio intercepts reach Oberstleutnant Franz Backe of the Schwere Panzerjägerabteilung 653, commanding Jagdtigers in the west. In a dimly lit command post near Aachen, Backe studies blurry reconnaissance photos. This American Sherman, heavier armor than our King Tiger in places, our 88s may not penetrate frontally at range. Backe's superiors in Berlin downplay it at first. Albert Speer, armaments minister, briefs Hitler, a stopgap measure, rushed production by inferior workers. Yet field reports pile up, Jumbos leading charges at Araucourt, absorbing hits from Panthers that would gut normal tanks. Crews survive, fight back. German morale dips. Der unzerstörbare Sherman, the indestructible one. The Jumbo isn't invincible, flanks vulnerable, overloaded chassis straining, but it forces change. Tigers conserve munition, waiting for side shots. Panthers stalk cautiously. One tank shifts the battlefield psychology. And as winter grips Europe, with the Ardennes looming, these Jumbos will face the Reich's last armored gamble. What happens when the unbreakable meets the unstoppable?
December 20th, 1944. The frozen crossroads near Bastogne, Belgium, where exhaust plumes hang in the sub-zero air like ghosts. Captain Charles Bulge, commanding a company from the 4th Armored Division, peers through frost-rimmed vision slits as his M4A3E2 Jumbo, nicknamed Cobra King, lumbers through knee-deep snow. Shell craters pock the white landscape. Abandoned equipment litters the road, and the distant crack of small arms fire echoes off bare trees. His platoon, tasked with relieving the besieged 101st Airborne, pushes forward under sporadic artillery. You can almost taste the bitter cold biting through gloves, hear the strained whine of the overloaded Ford GAA engine as tracks chew into ice. Bulge's Jumbo leads, its extra armor plates welded like a battering ram, sandbags piled on the turret for good measure. Behind, standard Shermans follow warily, knowing the point tank draws the fire. German positions erupt. A hidden 75mm Pak-40 barks from a tree line, shell slamming into Cobra King's glacis with a thunderous clang. The tank shudders, crew jolted, but no breach. "Keep going," Bulge shouts over the intercom. Another hit, ricochet screaming skyward. The Jumbo's bow machine gun chatters back, suppressing the gun crew while infantry advances. On the German side, Oberleutnant Erich Braun, commanding a mixed Kampfgruppe of Panthers and Panzer IVs, watches in growing frustration through binoculars. His 75mm KWK-42 on the Panther should penetrate any Sherman at this range, but the lead tank absorbs hit after hit, closing relentlessly. "Das ist der schwere Sherman," a spotter yells. "The heavy one, the Jumbo." Braun orders flank shots, but snow and terrain limit maneuver. His crews hesitate, ammunition low, fuel critical in Hitler's desperate Wacht am Rhine offensive. Cobra King reaches the outskirts, its 76mm gun, upgunned in field modifications, blasting strongpoints. Paratroopers of the 101st emerge from foxholes, gaunt but cheering, nuts to the Germans, now relief in sight. Bulge's tank becomes legend, first to break the encirclement, scrolled with "First in Bastogne" in chalk. Across the front, similar scenes unfold. In Krinkeltet Rocherath, Jumbos of the 741st Tank Battalion duel Tigers nose to nose, surviving multiple 88mm impacts, while Easy 8 Shermans with 76mm guns flank and kill. German ace Otto Carius, in his Jagdtiger, later recounts in memoirs, "The American heavy Sherman, our shots bounced off like peas. We had to wait for side exposures, losing the initiative." Panic filters up the chain. SS Obersturmbannführer Joachim Peiper, rampaging with King Tigers through the Ardennes, radios fury after encountering Jumbos near Stoumont. "These damned assault tanks block roads, impervious frontally. We burn fuel circling them." His elite blowtorch battalion stalls, prey to air attacks and persistent American pressure. The Jumbo's scarcity amplifies its terror. Only a handful per division, yet they spearhead every major push. German crews adapt desperately, aim low for tracks, use ambush tactics. But the psychological edge shifts. No longer easy kills, Shermans now dictate engagements. As the Bulge grinds on, with allies counterattacking, the fear solidifies. One tank forces the mighty Panzer arm to rethink everything. But the ultimate confrontations await in the Rhine push, where Jumbos will face the Reich's final defenses and perhaps capture the imagination of the enemy forever. March 24, 1945. The muddy banks of the Rhine near Remagen, where the shattered Ludendorff Bridge still spans the river like a broken promise. Smoke rises from burning vehicles on the far shore, the acrid stench mixing with wet earth as engineers patch pontoons under sporadic shell fire. Sergeant Nicholas Oresco, attached to the 743rd Tank Battalion, hunches in the turret of his M4A3E2 Jumbo, Thunderbolt 7, as it rumbles onto a raft for the crossing. The tank's hull groans under extra weight, concrete blocks welded for added protection, spare tracks draped like armor skirts. You can almost smell the river's damp chill, feel the raft dip under 40 tons of steel as German artillery probes the smokescreen. Oresco's crew, loader, driver, gunner, silent, eyes fixed on the east bank where Wehrmacht remnants dig in desperately. This is Operation Plunder, Montgomery's methodical push, but American spearheads like the 9th Armored have already seized bridges, forcing the Reich's collapse. Thunderbolt 7 hits the far shore first, tracks biting into mud. A concealed 88mm flat gun opens up from a ruined village, shells streaking like tracers. First hit, direct on the glacis. The tank lurches, vision blocks cracking but no penetration. Second hit, turret face. Spalling peppers the interior, drawing blood from Oresco's cheek, yet the Jumbo surges forward. "Drive on," he yells, blood mixing with sweat. The 76mm gun traverses, blasting the gun position into silence. German defenders, a ragtag mix of Volkssturm and battered Panzer Grenadiers, watch in horror. Hauptmann Karl Richter, commanding a rearguard with 2 surviving Panthers, radios frantically, "Schwere amerikanische Panzer, frontal impenetrable, our rounds bounce." His Ausf G Panthers, once kings of the field, now skulk in rubble, waiting for flank shots that never come. The Jumbo draws fire deliberately, allowing Pershings and Easy 8s to maneuver. In Cologne's outskirts, days earlier, similar dread unfolded. A lone Jumbo from the 3rd Armored Division held a key intersection against 3 Tigers. Surviving crewmen later recounted,
We took 7 hits from 88s, dense, welds cracked, but kept fighting. The Tigers withdrew, ammunition expended on the unbreakable foe. Hitler's rage echoes in bunkers. In a Führer headquarters briefing, he slams reports. These American monsters, proof of Jewish-American industrial conspiracy. Yet reality bites. Only 254 jumbos ever built, but each one multiplies force. They lead every river assault, every urban push, Cologne, Frankfurt, the Ruhr pocket. Captured German officers, interrogated in makeshift POW cages, confess openly. Oberst Hans von Luck, Rommel's former adjutant, "Your assault tank changed everything. We feared closing with it frontally, lost surprise, lost momentum." A young Panzer crewman adds quietly, "The Tiger was mighty, but this Sherman, it came straight at us, unafraid. It broke our spirit." As Allied columns pour across the Rhine, jumbos spearhead the encirclement of Army Group B, 200,000 Germans trapped. The tank that began as a stopgap becomes symbol. American ingenuity overwhelming Teutonic engineering. But one final myth awaits shattering in the war's dying days when even the mighty King Tiger bows before the beast it most feared.
April 12, 1945. The rubble-strewn streets of a small German town near the Elbe River, where spring mud mixes with plaster dust from shattered buildings. Hauptmann Alfred Rubel, veteran commander of a King Tiger from Schwer Panzerabteilung 506, idles his 68-ton monster behind a bombed-out church. Exhaust fumes curl into the chilly air. The massive 88mm KWK-43 long-barreled gun trained down the main road. His crew, hardened Eastern Front survivors, loads an armor-piercing round, confident that nothing American can stand against the Königstiger's frontal armor or firepower. You can almost hear the low growl of the Maybach engine, feel the tension in the turret as Rubel's periscope picks up movement, an American column advancing cautiously. Leading it, a squat, ugly Sherman, extra plates welded haphazardly, bow heavy with spare tracks. A jumbo. Rubel's loader mutters, "Der schwere Army, careful." Rubel orders fire at 800 meters. The King Tiger recoils, muzzle flash lighting the ruins. Direct hit, center mass on the jumbo's glasses. Smoke clears. The American tank keeps coming. No penetration. Second round, turret face. Again, bounce. Sparks shower the street, but the jumbo's turret traverses steadily, its 76mm gun elevating. "Flank it," Rubel shouts, but urban rubble limits movement. The King Tiger's tracks churn mud, too slow. The jumbo closes to 500 meters, joined now by 2 Pershing heavies emerging from side streets, flanking complete. The 76mm barks. The shell strikes the King Tiger's side armor. Penetration. Fire erupts in the engine compartment. Rubel's crew bails out under small arms fire, the mighty Tiger abandoned, brewing up in seconds. As American infantry swarms past, one GI slaps the jumbo's hull. Good girl. Rubel, captured hours later, stares at the scorched wreck of his command, defeated not by a superior heavy, but by an up-armored medium the Reich had mocked. Such humiliations multiply in the war's final weeks. In the Ruhr pocket, encircled German forces face relentless jumbo-led assaults. One after-action report from Panzer Lehr Division laments, "The American assault tanks absorb our best shots, allowing their faster comrades to envelop. Our Tigers become static pillboxes, easy prey for air and artillery." Even Michael Wittmann's legacy haunts the narrative. Though the legendary ace fell in Normandy to a standard Sherman Firefly, surviving Tiger commanders privately admit, had a jumbo drawn his attention first, the outcome might have dragged longer, cost more rounds, precious in 1945 shortages. In POW interrogations, the confessions pour out. A captured Tiger gunner tells U.S. intelligence officers, "We feared that heavy Sherman more than the Pershing. It came straight at us, front impenetrable, forcing us to maneuver or die."
Another adds bitterly, "Our propaganda called them Tommy cookers, but this one, it cooked us." The Jumbo's legend grows disproportionate to its numbers. Crews paint kill rings proudly. Newspapers back home dub them Cobra Kings after Bastogne. Yet its true victory is intangible, shattering the myth of German armored invincibility. No longer do Panzer crews charge with arrogant certainty. They hesitate, calculate, fear. As Allied forces link up at the Elbe, racing Soviets to Berlin's ruins, the last Tigers fall, not in glorious duels, but outmaneuvered, outproduced, outfought by the tank that refused to die. But one final irony remains. The beast the Germans feared most was never meant to be a legend. It was a desperate fix, yet it helped doom the 1,000-year Reich. May 1945. A makeshift interrogation tent near Tangermünde on the Elbe River, where the scent of pine smoke from campfires mixes with the damp earth of surrender. Colonel Wilhelm Meyer, former commander of a Panzer brigade, sits under guard, his once crisp uniform muddied and torn. Across the table, a U.S. Army intelligence officer spreads captured documents, after-action reports, diaries, sketches of that squat American tank with the impossible armor. Meyer lights a captured Lucky Strike, exhaling slowly, eyes distant. You can almost see the defeat in his posture, hear the distant clank of surrendering panzers being herded into fields. Meyer speaks haltingly at first, then with the floodgate release of a man unburdening years of myth. "We were told the American Sherman was inferior, thin skin, gasoline engine, crewed by amateurs, easy prey for our Panthers and Tigers." He pauses, tapping ash. Then came the Schwere version, the assault tank. It changed everything. The officer presses. Why fear one variant so much? Meyer leans forward. Because it exposed our arrogance. Our doctrine demanded superior quality, fewer, better tanks. The Führer believed spirit and engineering would triumph over numbers. But this Jumbo, it took everything our 88s could give frontally and kept coming. We wasted shots, fuel, time. It forced us onto the defensive. Flashback to Hitler's Wolfslayer briefings in 1944. Albert Speer presents production figures. Germany struggling to build 300 Panthers monthly, while American factories churn thousands of Shermans, including these up-armored devils. Hitler rages. Impossible. Their mongrel workforce cannot achieve such precision. Yet reconnaissance photos prove otherwise. Jumbos leading every breakthrough from Normandy to the Rhine. General Heinz Guderian, father of Blitzkrieg, warns in private memos, "Our American heavy Sherman neutralizes our technical edge. We must avoid frontal engagements, but terrain and fuel dictate otherwise." His advice ignored. Instead, orders demand stand-and-fight defenses, where Jumbos absorb punishment and enable encirclements. Meyer continues, voice bitter. "In the Bulge, we thought surprise would shatter them, but those tanks held crossroads, blocked roads. Peiper's King Tigers stalled against them. At Remagen, they crossed first, shrugging off our last 88s. He stubs out the cigarette. "One tank, simple bolts and welds, proved our entire philosophy wrong. Quantity, adaptability, industry. America didn't need perfect tanks. They needed enough good ones, and one unbreakable to lead them." The irony stings deepest in memoirs written post-war. Otto Carius, Tiger Ace with over 150 kills. Facing the Jumbo was frustrating beyond words. Our superiority vanished. We became the hunted. Franz Bach, Jagdtiger commander. "It wasn't the Pershing we truly feared. It arrived too late. It was that damned up-armored Sherman that broke our will." The Jumbo's legend grows disproportionate to its numbers. Crews paint kill rings proudly. Newspapers back home dub them Cobra Kings after Bastogne. Yet its true victory is intangible, shattering the myth of German armored invincibility. No longer do Panzer crews charge with arrogant certainty. They hesitate, calculate, fear. As Allied forces link up at the Elbe, racing Soviets to Berlin's ruins, the last tigers fall, not in glorious duels, but outmaneuvered, outproduced, outfought by the tank that refused to die. But one final irony remains. The beast the Germans feared most was never meant to be a legend. It was a desperate fix, yet it helped doom the 1,000-year Reich.